Some people win the room without lifting their voice. They don't rush to defend, don't scramble to convince, don't burn energy proving they're right. They stand there, aware, composed, and the rest of us start revealing ourselves. This video isn't about being quiet for politeness. It's about using silence as strategy. If Nietzsche taught anything about power, it's this: stop playing the game they set, and the game starts playing you. The quiet advantage, why silence outsmarts noise. Think about the last time you walked away from a debate feeling oddly smaller, even though you said everything. That tired ache in your chest? That's the cost of paying with words when the currency was a presence. We're trained to believe the fastest reply wins. Nietzsche would laugh at that. Quickness looks like strength. It's usually need. The need to be understood, the need to be approved, the need to make the discomfort stop. Here's the turn. The person with the most control isn't the one who talks best. It's the one who chooses when to talk at all. Silence, conscious, grounded silence, does not mean surrender. It means you're no longer available on demand. The moment you stop being predictable, the room tilts. People who relied on your instant reactions have to recalibrate. Uncertainty creeps in, and uncertainty makes even confident players clumsy. Nietzsche called our reflex to be agreeable the morality of the herd. Be good, be clear, keep the peace. There's nothing wrong with kindness until it becomes a leash. The more you over-explain, the more you teach people that your attention can be summoned like a button. The more you rush to fill the quiet, the more you confess you can't bear it. Silence flips that script. It says, "My time is scarce, my center is not for sale. And if you want access, earn it." Watch what unfolds when you let a beat hang. The interrupter loses their runway. The mocker escalates into obviousness. The over-explainer keeps stacking contradictions because you're not handing them a pivot. You haven't won an argument. You've removed the oxygen that kept a weak argument breathing. That's not passivity, that's positioning. Picture a chessboard. Amateurs lunge at the shiny piece in front of them. Masters hold space. Your silence is that held square. Nothing flashy, everything decisive. You are not frozen, you are reading. Where did their voice tighten? When did they start repeating themselves? Which words did they avoid? This is intelligence work, and you do it without spending a single sentence. The ego will protest. It will tell you you're being cold, that you're losing if you don't clap back. But the deeper loss is letting your mood be remote controlled by anyone loud enough to press your buttons. Nietzsche's answer wasn't to become stone. It was to become sovereign. Sovereign people aren't louder, they're harder to move. So try this micro shift right now. When you feel that itch to explain, breathe once and let the moment stretch. Not forever. Just long enough to watch the other person reach for the certainty your silence refuses to give. In that stretch, you'll notice something you usually miss. The part where their performance cracks and their motives show. That's the first win, not a knockout line, a clean read. The theater you keep entering, and how to stop auditioning. You know that feeling when a conversation turns into a stage play? Lights up, someone performs certainty. You feel the tug to jump in and prove you're not the fool in the back row. That tug is the trap. Not because you're wrong, but because the minute you rush to defend, you step into a role someone else wrote for you. Most arguments aren't about truth, they're about placement. Who stands taller? Who controls tempo? Who makes whom dance? Silence changes the blocking. When you don't bite, something simple and strange happens. The room starts looking at them, not you. Without your lines to push against, they begin to fill the space, repeating themselves, getting louder, reaching for sarcasm that doesn't quite land. Uncertainty makes people sloppy. That sloppiness is data. This isn't about winning by saying nothing. It's about choosing when your voice is expensive. Think of attention like currency. Every instant reply is a tap of your card, little charges all day. By evening, you wonder why you feel empty. It's not mystery, it's bookkeeping. Nietzsche's gripe with the herd wasn't kindness. It was the reflex to purchase approval at any price. We call it being reasonable. Often it's just fear of letting a beat hang. But a beat that hangs is where you learn. What happens in that beat? Watch their breath. It's the first tell. Quick, shallow, forced laugh. They're not convincing you. They're trying to convince themselves. Watch their eyes. Do they scan for an audience? That means the point isn't the point. Status is. Listen to filler. Look, I'm just saying. To be honest, people telegraph when they've run out of clean ground. You're not freezing them out. You're reading the map before you move. Masters don't sprint into fog. They wait for wind. But doesn't silence make me look weak? Only if you're shrinking inside it. Submissive silence curls up and hopes the moment passes. Sovereign silence sets the moment down and lets the other person reveal whether there's anything solid under the volume. Not retreat. Refusal to be rushed. Try a small shift the next time someone tries to drag you on stage. Hold your line for one breath. Inhale, exhale. No performance in your face, no eye rolls, just presence. Ask one clean question if needed, not to trap them, but to clarify the game. What exactly are you asking of me? Then let the quiet do its work. Keep your frame. Sit back, square shoulders, feet planted, bodies talk. Yours can say, I'm not here to duel, I'm here to decide. You'll notice the loud, confident ones aren't always confident. They're often rehearsed. Silence steals rehearsal. It forces reality. And reality is where weak arguments go to die. None of this requires cruelty. You don't need to humiliate anyone. You're not above them. You're just not under them. That difference is everything. When you stop auditioning, you stop begging to be seen. You become the person in the room who is hard to move, and oddly, easier to trust. Remember this line and carry it into the week. I won't spend words where presence will do. When you hold that, noise stops feeling like a summons. It becomes what it's always been, a sound you can notice, assess, and let pass until it's actually worth answering. The quiet arsenal, 5 moves that don't make a sound. You don't need sharp comebacks. You need clean choices. Think of this as the part where you stop wrestling and start steering. Not tricks, not manipulation. Just learning where not to spend yourself. So what you do spend actually lands. Move 1. Refusal. The first edge is saying nothing when your whole body is begging to speak. That itch to explain? That's the hook. Don't bite. Breathe once. Let the beat hang. You're not punishing anyone. You're protecting the frame. Because the instant you rush to clarify, you've accepted their terms. Because every "let me just" makes you cheaper. Because neediness is loud and people hear it. This refusal isn't coldness, it's dignity. It tells the room, my attention is not a public utility. Move 2. Observation. Silence isn't empty. It's a camera that keeps rolling when the scene should have cut. Watch the small things. Where does their voice tighten? Which word do they dodge? Do their eyes look for an audience before they look at you? You're not hunting for gotchas, you're listening for tells. Most performances crack under quiet. Let them. When you finally speak, if you speak, Respond to what's real, not what was rehearsed. Move 3. Time. Give the pause a job. Let it work for you. A 2 count before you answer. A night before you reply. A week before you commit. Nietzsche didn't worship speed. He respected ripening, because urgency is often someone else's leash, because truth improves in stillness, because what's fragile in the light of day didn't deserve your midnight energy. Time is not avoidance, it's filtration. If the thing falls apart because you didn't answer in 5 minutes, the thing was never a thing. Move 4. Unpredictability. Herd training makes you linear. Poke here, you react there. Break that map. Sometimes you answer a question with a question. Sometimes you let the question sit. Sometimes you smile and change the subject because the subject was bait. Not pettiness, self-direction. The point isn't to confuse people, it's to stop being an easy pattern. Because patterns are levers and levers move you. Once people can't predict you, they have to respect you. Or step away. Move 5. 1 clean sentence. A silence doesn't mean you never speak. It means that when you do, it counts. 1 sentence. Precise, grounded. No edge of apology. That doesn't work for me. I'm not available for this. I'll decide tomorrow. Short lines end long games. You'll feel the urge to justify. Don't. Explanation dilutes authority. Say it once. Let it stand. None of these moves require cruelty. You don't have to win a duel. You're building gravity. And gravity doesn't argue. It arranges. People who only wanted your reactivity will call you distant. Let them. People who wanted your presence will adjust to your pace. They always do. Try this today. Pick 1 space where you usually overspend. Texts, meetings, family group chat. Use the trio. Refuse once. Observe twice. Add time. Then, if needed, release 1 clean sentence. Notice what appears in the quiet. The tells, the motives, the part of you that isn't scrambling anymore. That's not a trick. That's you stepping out of the herd rhythm and into your own. Not louder, truer. Kill the counterfeit. Submissive silence versus sovereign silence. There's a version of silence that hollows you out. It's the quiet of walking on eggshells, of swallowing what matters, of staying small so no one gets upset. That's not strategy. That's self-abandonment dressed as maturity. Sovereign silence feels different. It's not a curl-up. It's a stand-up. You're not hiding. You're holding your line. How do you tell the difference? Submissive silence asks, will they still like me if I don't respond? Sovereign silence asks, do I respect myself if I do? Submissive silence waits to be chosen. Sovereign silence chooses. Where attention goes, where time lands, what gets a reply and what returns to the void. You'll feel the pull back toward the counterfeit. Guilt will try to bargain. Old training will whisper that good people explain. This is where Nietzsche bites. The herd rewards what keeps the herd calm. You were praised for being agreeable, available, easily moved. It kept you safe. It also kept you small. Here's the hard part. Because silence exposes motives, some people will push harder. Because silence ruins rehearsals, some will call you cold. Because silence returns power to you, some will call you selfish. Let them. You're not performing goodness anymore. You're practicing truth without noise. A quick self-audit to stay clean. Check the body. Submissive silence tightens the chest and shrinks the breath. Sovereign silence drops the shoulders and slows the pulse. If your body is collapsing, you're not holding a boundary. You're hiding. Reset. Sit up. Breathe low. Check the why. If the reason is fear of upsetting someone, that's submission. If the reason is honoring your pace, your values, your bandwidth, That's sovereignty. Check the aftertaste. Submission leaves shame and static. Sovereignty leaves quiet and clarity. And yes, there's a cost. Nietzsche never sold comfort. When you stop being endlessly reachable, you break certain economies. People who thrived on your instant fixes may withdraw approval, withhold warmth, talk louder. That isn't proof you're wrong. It's proof your gravity just increased. Expect a stretch of solitude, not the empty kind, the clean kind. The kind where your phone is still, the room is still, and for the first time in a long time, you can hear the part of you that isn't auditioning. That space is not a punishment, it's a forge. Use it, walk without headphones. Let your mind stop skipping. Write 3 lines each night. Where did I hold? Where did I fold? What will I do differently tomorrow? Not for content, for calibration. You'll be tempted to explain your new boundaries to everyone. Don't. One sentence beats a manifesto. I'm not available for that. If they ask why, remember, explanation is often a request for negotiation. You don't owe either. Not every quiet is wise. Not every quiet is strong. But when your silence is anchored in self-respect, when it's a decision, not a flinch, it becomes a signal. The right people learn your rhythm and meet you there. The wrong people drift toward louder rooms. Let them find their echo. This is the pivot Nietzsche pointed at without the self-help sugar. Stop spending your life to buy acceptance. Start conserving it to build a self that doesn't need to be voted on. Not smaller, straight.